And this is why they operate like this. They operate by controlling what appear to be sides and antagonists in the five-sense reality, but in fact, it's just a movie. It's part of a game pushing the agenda for Orwellian control. This is what I'm talking about with that image earlier. These people, they might appear to fight in the movie, but actually they're controlled ultimately by the same force to the same end. And some of these will be the reptilian bloodline, some of them might not be. I think most of these probably are. But these are just puppets. Even they might be powerful puppets over people below them in the structure, but they're still puppets of the shadow people who are really calling the shots and deciding what goes on and what doesn't. And because of this genetic situation in the hybrid bloodlines of empathy, lack of empathy, because of the predominance compared with the general population of the reptilian brain genetics, they can do horrendous things that we couldn't even contemplate because we have empathy with the victims of our actions. They do not. Without that emotional consequence, there are no limits, and we see that on the news every day. Another coordinate, the way that we are manipulated through what are mind and emotional manipulation techniques. Problem, reaction, solution. It was a term I came up with years ago to describe something that is known as the Hegelian dialectic among people with, who like long syllables. And makes you sound really clever, you know. It would never make me sound clever, bloody hell. Crown Hill Secondary Modern. Third window on the left with the best view of the games period. That was me at school. Problem, reaction, solution. The highest official level of the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry is the 33rd degree, and it has this motto, Ordo ab chaos, order out of chaos. And it translates to me as problem, reaction, solution. It works like this. You want to change society in a certain way here. You know that if you announce that openly, you're going to get an adverse reaction from the people. Imagine if the changes that have happened since 9/11 in terms of the destruction of freedoms and civil liberties had been proposed without 9/11. What you do? We're doing. This is a fascist state. We're not having this. Oh, well, no, we've got to have it because it's terrorists. You know, problem, reaction, solution. So, you don't announce it openly. You, at stage one, create a problem. Terrorist bomb. I'm coming out. Terrorist bomb. I've got a wire loose. I read that in the Mirror once. He's got a wire loose, he said. They're right. And you create a problem. Terrorist bomb, war, run on a currency, credit crunch, rising food prices. Anything that will allow you to offer the solution you want to change society. You then tell the people the version of the problem that you want them to believe, i.e. Bin Laden did this, Lee Harvey Oswald did this. And the pathetic mainstream media, instead of investigating the official version, just repeat it to the people, and the people at stage two are supposed to react, and most of the time they do. React with outrage, with fear, and they say, something must be done, this can't go on, what are they going to do about it? At which point, those who've covertly created the problem got that reaction, offer the solutions to the problems they have themselves covertly created. And those solutions are changes in society which advance the Orwellian state and the centralization of power, so the few can have more and more power over the many by this centralization of power. So if you look at the Second World War, these bloodlines were behind Soviet communism. They were behind the capitalist countries, or cartelist countries in truth, of the West, and they were behind, including America, and they were behind Nazi fascism, bringing Hitler to power. They then bring them in conflict, called a Second World War. Massive problem. The Second World War in just a few years, and people were saying, in their desperate state, something must be done, this can't go on. They were open to stop this, no more war. And so we got the solution, we'll centralize global power. So out of this came the European Union, that was justified too, let's trade instead of fight, which sounded good at the time, but actually that wasn't the agenda. The United Nations, and an explosion of centralization of power in banking and business and politics on a global level, justified by the problem. None of which would have happened had it not been for the Second World War, which these bloodlines funded, including the Bush family. The George Bush's grandfather, Prescott Bush, was one of the major conduits for funding Hitler through a company called the Union Banking Corporation that interfaced with the banking and steel empire of a guy called Fritz Thyssen in Germany, who was an acknowledged funder of Hitler. And through that, how does anyone think that Germany went from thousands of % inflation to a war machine that can take on the world in a few years because of outside influence and support, because they wanted that war? There's even another version of this now called no problem reaction solution, i.e. weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. You don't even need a real problem, you just need the perception of it. It's all a bloody mind game. And so when you look at 9/11, the official story is like something from Alice in Bloody Wonderland. It's a fairy story. And all these anomalies come up. And anomalies come up for a simple reason. Cover stories aren't true. There must be anomalies. This is Building 7 as it was falling, with the bloody blasts coming out as it came down, like a controlled explosion. That looks like a controlled explosion to me. You know why? Why? Because it bloody was. That's why. This is typical. This is a BBC reporter who's reporting on 9/11 that Building 7 has fallen. It was in the shot behind her, right? It fell 20 minutes later. And then when you point this out, people say, so you're saying the BBC's in on the conspiracy? No, mate. I'm saying they let the press release out 20 minutes sodding early. That's what. That's why some other people in the media reported it 20 minutes earlier and all. It was orchestrated. Problem, reaction, solution. Yeah, jet fuel for all those buildings down. I love it. This is a picture by a guy called David Dees, who I think is in the audience today, David Dees. David Dees, you may see on my website and rents.com and stuff, does these extraordinarily brilliant compilations of images to make mighty statements in one image. And anything you see like this is a David Dees image today. The one earlier with the Clinton and McCain and Obama was one of his, obviously, as well. This is another one. This is the bandana. They call them bandanas or something close to that. Headscarf to me. Anyway, this was found apparently at the scene of the crash of Flight 93 in Pennsylvania. There was hardly any bloody wreckage. As one person on the scene said, there was nothing you couldn't carry away the size of a telephone directory, and yet they found this headscarf, which in the official story was worn by one of the hijackers. Well, where did he end up? You don't seem to have found him.